What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on in NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel. The sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic is a community member question. This comes from my guy, Proud Infidel. He wanted me to discuss and talk about the new emerging rumors that the Philadelphia Eagles may potentially trade Zach Ertz to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So to start with, I had to kind of trace down where this was coming from. And if to me, it appears it's coming from an article that Yates wrote where he was writing about like potential trade destination. A lot of the reporting around Zach Ertz, guys, has been that although he is doing things the correct way, he's showing up for camp, neither party between Howie Roseman or Zach Ertz has changed their position in terms of wanting out of Philadelphia and things like that, guys. Like the position hasn't apparently changed. Zach Ertz still wants to be dealt, apparently. That's the reporting coming back, guys. Mind you, I don't know the situation personally, but that's what's being reported back. So to begin with, like the Jacksonville Jaguars thing, I haven't heard any official talk as into like there's actually any kind of discussion, any kind of offer being made. Guys, from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing from, just following the kind of the tea leaves here, is that it comes from Yates' article, and then there was a subsequent article written by ESPN to where they said, look, a conditional 5th-round pick for Zach Ertz to the Jacksonville Jaguars, could be a likely situation. I think that they're basically looking at it like you have Trevor Lawrence there. You got a very young rookie quarterback who getting a veteran tight end who's savvy, knows how to get open, would make a ton of sense for them. They have really good outside threats at receiver. You get somebody who can control that middle of the field, and that offense could open up. From the Jaguars' perspective, don't get me wrong, getting somebody like Zach Ertz for a conditional 5th, it makes a ton of sense, guys. I mean, no doubt about it. But look, before I get into too much of this, guys, I just want to talk about Zach Ertz because I don't know if it's going to be Zach Ertz's last year with the Eagles or not. Well, I don't know if he's going to be here this season, I should say. So I don't know if last season was Zach Ertz's last year with the Eagles or not, or if it'll be this year. But I do want to talk about who this player is, guys, because I do think sometimes we lose sight of just how good Zach Ertz has been for the Philadelphia Eagles, man. And if it's going to be the last ride we had with Zach Ertz, man, I don't want it to be the way it seems right now. Like, it's got to end amicably, because this is one of the franchise's greatest players. I'm sorry, if you don't think so, you're wrong. I don't know what to tell you. The numbers don't lie. Like, he's the only player in Eagles history with over 100 receptions in a season. He had 116. The closest guy is Brian Westbrook's 90-plus catch season that year. He's second overall in franchise history in receptions with 561. He's 5th in receiving yards with 6,078. He's 7th in touchdowns with 36. And that'll always be kind of the knock I think a lot of us have with Zach Ertz is, man, as talented as he was. And, there was a time I made a video a few months ago, remember, where I analyzed how often Zach Ertz was being targeted early in downs. Because there was a theory that people had spread around that said, like, look, part of the reason you should separate from Zach Ertz is that he's just not he's not an early down, targeted player. He's more of your safety cushion 3rd down. And then I actually dispelled that myth and proved that's wrong. He's actually, he led us for the longest time in 1st down targets. So that theory's a little wrong. Although I understand projecting it forward and saying, will he continue to be an early down more so than just a safety blanket? I think that's a little bit more of a rational thought process, a rational argument. But look, I mean, over the years, guys, he's had 326 first down catches. Twice he's had 50 or more in a season for the Eagles. It's crazy numbers, guys. He's had 73 20-plus yard, receptions in his career. It's a big number, man. I mean, he did add some explosiveness to him. He had three seasons where he had over 10 20-plus yard receptions in a year. So, I mean, Zach Ertz was just, he was an incredibly productive player for the Eagles. This is definitely one of our better draft picks. He's a guy that kind of overcame the odds, right? I mean, this is a 6'5" tight end who has below 32-inch reach in his arms. It's just not normal for tight ends and guys that size to be below 32-inch reach in your arms. He's a shorter armed wide receiver. He doesn't have a big wingspan, guys. Similar body types to him would have been Jason Witten. Jason Witten was another guy, big guy who had shorter arms. And then also Greg Olsen, formerly of the Panthers and the Bears. Greg Olsen was another guy that was a shorter arm tight end that got a lot of production because he was a savvy route runner. Those three guys in particular stand out to me when it comes to that group of type of players. So I mean, it's unfortunate if this is the last, the last chapter in the Zach Ertz, saga. Look, I hope it goes out with a positive message. I hope this is the guy that we can eventually bring back and retire a Philadelphia Eagle. Because you just don't, this is not the guy that we want to have these weird mixed emotions about leaving the Eagles. You know what I mean? Like, I think we went through that for much different reasons with guys like Reggie White. I mean, Reggie White's situation was far different from Zach Ertz's. Reggie White is truly the start of free agency. He's really the big marquee player that really started the buzz and the hype of free agency when he left Philadelphia for Green Bay. It's just, I don't want it to get to that point where there's a weirdness to it. You know what I mean? It would suck, With that said, guys, I did see another rumor I wanted to talk about because, like, this Jacksonville Jaguars rumors, it's really just a theory. I saw no actual, like, really proof behind it. Just someone theorizing it makes sense. I did see another article. They were talking about Dallas Goedert, and this one made me laugh a little bit just because it's like, well, I mean, you can never rule anything out, but it's just how Philadelphia works, man. There's always an article to write about some weird thing here. One of the articles insinuated the Philadelphia Eagles might trade Dallas Goedert instead, which I get what they're saying. Dallas Goedert has far more value than Zach Ertz does. Zach Ertz still probably has 3 or 4 years left in him, to be honest. To me, though, man, you're not giving up on younger tight ends that could be really big playmakers. Now, I think the approach they're taking is that Dallas Goedert is a projection. Zach Ertz is a known. And I get it, but Dallas Goedert's projection, guys, is a pretty good projection. That's the thing. The whole situation is kind of tough, right? It's hard to keep Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert on the roster at the same time, especially if we're talking about top 5 tight end money for Dallas Goedert in an extension in a season to where he's clearly going to be the guy, because you're not going to not play that guy if you're trying to work out extensions and figure out the value and the money here. You're going to play him. But having a guy like Zach Ertz, he's going to take a percentage of snaps here. There's just no doubt. He's going to take a percentage of targets. Like, Zach Ertz is a good football player still. Like, he's going to get a percentage of those things. So, I mean, that to me, that's like kind of the interesting thing about this one, guys, is like this weird rumor. And I'm not putting any emphasis on that being true, guys. Who knows? I mean, look, anything can happen. I'll grant you that. I mean, we don't know. They could move Dallas Goedert instead of Zach Ertz, but I doubt it. My instinct is you're probably going to keep the younger player. If they moved Dallas Goedert, my first instinct would be is that Dallas Goedert wanted money that the Eagles felt like they just could not afford in the future. And it's not a big deal for 2023 and 2024, guys. The big deal is next year in 2022, because once again, we're a little bit up against the wall. That's why we got to be careful about kicking these contracts down the road. When you say kick the can down the road on some of these contracts, we have to be careful about doing that, because that money does come due eventually. So, you create this temporary cap space, but you're also kind of forsaking your cap space in the subsequent years that follow when you do that. And it's kind of part of the issue with some of these things. But all right, guys, let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think about this whole Zach Ertz situation? You think he's traded, guys, this year? I mean, I think there's a lot of possibility that if someone goes down in camp, Zach Ertz is an easy kind of trade target. I think roster cut down time where people just don't feel secure about their tight end position, they could call us up for Zach Ertz. I also think he's a trade deadline guy, that he could be on Philadelphia for, all the way up to about week 7 or week 8, and then he could be dealt at the trade deadline. I think there's a lot of possibilities. I also think he could just play out as the duration of the season here in Philadelphia, and then we could, in theory, walk away with a compensatory pick. I want to warn people about compensatory picks. Would you likely get better than a 5th-round pick for Zach Ertz? Somewhat. It's a formula that they calculate, guys, and some of that has to do with the length of the contract you sign with another team and the value of that contract, okay? But also, you have to have a net loss over a net gain in order to receive a compensatory pick, meaning you have to sign less players than you lose. That's how you get compensatory picks, is when you have more free agents than free agents you sign for the season. Like when your internal free agents outnumber the free agents you sign during the period of free agency. So, got to be a little careful with that stuff, guys. I don't think that's a guarantee. I summarized it myself, guys. I'm not saying that I hadn't said that myself. I think I was one of the early birds, the early people that said that the Eagles might be looking at that situation. But I just want to make sure I clarify for you guys that that's not 100%. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. Like, you can have situations to where even though you've lost really good players, you don't receive any compensatory picks for them. So I don't want to mislead anybody in that one. All right, Joe, I appreciate y'all's time and attention. Leave your thoughts down below. What do you think about the Zach Ertz situation, guys? All right, peace. I'm out here, man. See y'all in the next video.